Hello boys and girls. It's been a long time since I've done a video. It seems like I say that every video though. Got my coffee. Looks a bit shit. It's good though. Got this Peavey 6505 combo. I did a little write up on it on the page. So it came in with no signal through the preamp, so he plugged into the effects return and got signal through the power amp. Okay, pretty strong signal. So we had a look while he was here. I popped the covers off the tubes, valves, and all but one of the 12AX7s was not glowing. Fucking mosquito. No. Get him later. Sorry. Rest in peace, headphones. Where was I? Yeah. So we had a look. Only one of the 12AX7s was glowing. So there was a failure of the heater supply. So I cracked it open while he was here. I like to do that when I've got time. And straight away saw a bulgy cap here. And a bit of heat damage around this area. And there's like hot snot glue all over the thing. So there's just like big patches of it. Looks like someone's done some mods here. There's some IC caps. I don't think that's factory. I don't think it was a factory revision. I mean, yeah, I don't know. There's definitely been some modifications. I can see on the underside of the board some people have been in there. And there is a sticker of one of the service centers. But yeah, I'm not going to name them. There's a few just stupid things. I don't know what it is with some other techs, and they're just oblivious to really obvious shit. You've got a valve. What does the valve do? It gets hot, right? So what do? You put hot melt glue on it. What is hot melt glue? It's in the name, for fuck's sake. It melts when it's hot, and you put it on hot parts. Like, fucking hell. Anyway, yeah, so I've got to scrape all that crap off. This area, I don't know what mods have happened there, but there's no complaint about that. The only complaint was there was no signal. So once I get signal again, I'll see what the hell's going on here. I might be able to, jump on a forum or something and, Super Magic bloody Dumble mod number 86. That's what that is. Fucked if I know. So I'll try and figure out the reasoning behind that. I don't think I'll be reversing it unless it's really stupid once I've traced it out and asked the customer for permission on that one, because sometimes if you go changing the circuit without permission, it's never to sound the same ever again, right? You've just removed the mojo. So what I'm definitely going to do is take this board out, because it's a bit of a pain in the ass working on it while it's still connected. So everything's quick connects over here. Yay, mass production. So I'm gonna fire up the hot air gun, hot air station. It's normally meant for surface mount work, but it works for heat shrinking and turn down a bit, and works pretty good for crap like this, heating up crappy glue to scrape it off, because these components over here, they're pretty much embedded in the shit. It's like you just poured it on. So to get them out at all, I'm going to have to soften it a bit, because there's so much there. Let me just show you this area here. So you've got, see the problem with this amp is, like a lot of high gain amps, it runs on DC heaters to try and minimize hum. Now if you don't implement DC heaters properly, you can end up with more noise, not less. So yeah, this cap here is bulged, probably because it's right next to that power resistor, which is in series with the heater circuit. Probably to drop voltage a little bit. They probably found that given the particular windings on this transformer and the circuitry, it was a little bit off their calculations, the regulation and the current draw and whatever. It probably was like 6.8 volts instead of 6.3. So they probably dropped it down a little bit with that 0.68 ohm 5 watt there. But that would get pretty warm, and the cap nearest it, well, the crappy cap nearest it, the one that old mates replaced at some point, and I know they replaced them because it says suntan on the side, and being a redhead, I know all about suntans. So they're a brand that seem to only be found at JCar, which is the distributor is Sonar Electronics. They're really shit, and when you see them in the amp, and Six, you'll know about this, Dr. Gear. When you see suntan caps in an amp, it's a red flag that whoever was working on this doesn't have enough nous to know that you can buy stuff from places other than JCar. It would be like starting a electronics repair shop like in the US and only using Radio Shack. Yeah, let's pay $5 for a resistor, that kind of deal. So they're shit caps. They're bad, low quality. They don't last long. They've probably been on the shelf for fuck knows how long, probably 10 years, because real techs don't buy shit from JCar unless you're really in a bind and you need to get something working and they happen to have something you might be able to use, which is rarely the case. I mean, you walk in the place and they go, "Can I help you?" My standard answer is probably not. You're a nerd that doesn't know anything about electronics, but you're still a nerd. I don't know. Anyway, it's early, right? So I'm going to replace those two. They are, I believe, the correct value. I'll have a look at the schematic in a minute on display capture. And these two are for the low voltage op amp stage, the solid state circuitry and the relays and whatnot. So they form a regulated bipolar 15 volt, well, plus minus 15 volt supply for the preamp. They look okay, but I'll probably replace them anyway because underneath it's kind of hard to make out. See, like brown shit. It looks like someone's had some mad Vindaloo and whatever. That brown glue shit, because it seems to be okay in other areas of the amp. See over here, it's going a bit funky because it's generally pretty warm area of the amp, but it's a lighter color. It's not as crispy. It doesn't come off in little flakes. It sort of stays like a glue. In other areas of the amp where it's cooler in the preamp end, it looks even better shape. But that, I don't know what that glue is, but it seems to be some solvent based stuff. You find it in all the cheap Chinese shit, like the monitors, the early series KRK monitors, the Rocket 5, 8, 6, whatever. It heats up, and those things get stupid hot because they're in a sealed box, and the stuff becomes conductive when it heats up. And if it gets really hot, it seems to like separate into a clear, pretty thin liquid and black crusty shit, and it becomes conductive, and I'm talking pretty conductive, like a couple of K over a millimeter, and that does all sorts of shit to a studio monitor. You get motor boating and oscillations and crackling, and so here it's pretty well cooked in this area, partially because they're using those diodes beyond their rated limit. Learning a trick from Messer Boogie. I wonder if Messer's going to sue them now that they used their secret of running diodes over their current rating. That was our idea. So this area's gotten really hot, and the glue's turned sort of black down on the board, and you can see the original glue under this hot snot glue that he's put on. So I'm going to have to remove all those components, heat the glue up, try and scrape it off without damaging the board too much. Have a look at the underside. Probably, I think I'm going to forget about putting diodes back on the board because the tracer's already toast. So I'm going to mount right here a chassis mounted bridge rectifier, and I'm going to overrate it a fair bit, like give it like a good 4 or 6 amp one. And bolt it to the chassis and hardwire it. Probably hardwire these directly to it. It's got a little suppression cap there. I could put another one of them directly across the bridge, and then hardwire the output of the bridge to the input of these caps, the new caps, when I replace them. That way you've just removed half the heat generating components off here. Yeah, the regs still generate a bit of heat, but nowhere near as much, because unlike some other brands of amp, they don't try and regulate the heater supply. Yeah, so then the only real heat generating component, significant heat, is that power resistor there, and that's sort of away from, well, most of the stuff. It's kind of close to that cap, but that one seems to be okay still. They're the high voltage caps, 100 microfarad, 550 volt, and that's the high voltage rectifiers there, bridge rectifier. So the reason that got a bit of crutch cam there, sorry about that. The reason that one of the preamp valves, it's actually the phase inverter, it's right there. The reason that was still glowing and the power, or the output valves were still glowing, is they are on AC heaters, and that's the input there, and you can see the big fat traces running up the board. And there's no need to have heater balancing, well, not heater balancing, there's no real need to have DC heaters in the output stages, because they have common mode rejection of noise, because you've got the plus and the minus, they're both sort of copying the same noise. They amplify the opposite phase, so they cancel out common noise, and that's true with the phase inverter as well. Plus they're not really high gain, they're current gain, not voltage gain. So it's the preamp circuitry they're trying to keep quiet from this this heater hum. So that's the thinking behind that. So I guess we'll disconnect this thing, maybe heat up. We'll just do a little test. They've got a blob of this hot snot over here. It doesn't look to be coming off the board easy. So I might heat it up, see how it reacts over there. And see if this is going to take, 4 hours or 2 hours. So I've got the hot air station there. It's a quick 861 DW. I try not to point it at the microphone. And I got it set for 200 degrees. That's what I use it for. Well, that's the temperature I use for heat shrink. Doesn't melt insulation, it just shrinks the heat shrink. So we'll try that out. We'll see how we go. It's probably going to take a while. Well, straight away it's going shiny, so that to me means it's starting to move, starting to melt. Hey, that's pretty good. But that goes to show just how easily this shit melts. So why put it in a valve amp that gets hot? Some kind of scrapey tool. I'll be back in a tick. Alright. Some tools of scrapage. Feels a bit wrong. It feels like I'm about to turn this amp into a piece of art. Yeah, it's softened it. It's still gooey though. It's not going to be fun. At least I can get the parts out though. So now I've pulled that cable off. I'll disconnect all these connectors. And take the board out. Give a bit of a clearer view of what's going on. And the bottom side. So that's hardwired to standby. Snip that cable tight. Oh man. The other thing that was happening is I was able to make the output valve heater fail just by jiggling these connectors. Oh my god. Is this one of those catchy ones? No. Just weak as piss, I guess. Yeah, so jiggling these spade connectors around. Oh my, what the hell? Made the heater stop on the output stage and the phase inverter. So that leads me to think that the connectors are a bit loose, but they feel tight as hell. I mean, I can barely undo them. Learn how to speak one day. So I'm gonna just hardwire the things. Oh man, I may as well just cut it off then, eh? What a pain in the ass. So some of these spade connectors, it's like it's welded itself, man. I think it has. Fuck. Never seen that before. Just those two real high current connectors, it's like they've welded themselves in place. You'd think it'd be a good connection then, wouldn't you? No such luck. Get rid of this chassis. Strategically placed wooden blocks. There's the board. I'll show you a quick look at the underside. Get some zoomage happening. Alright, so this is a repair that someone's done. Repair. They've oh, mind boggles. So they've glued the trace back to the board with a blob of some other kind of hot snot. It's got a different consistency to the stuff on the front. It's got like a sort of brown colour to it. Maybe that's just because it's cooked itself, I don't know. So he sort of tried to glue the traces back down with that. It totally doesn't work. You can't just glue traces back down. The board underneath them's carbonized from being so hot. And he's tried to thicken the traces up. Yeah, well, with a bit of solder, you know. Just whop some solder on there and see what happens. Seems to have a higher melting point in this stuff too. Oh, yummy. This is going to be fun. Get all the good jobs, eh? So, this here is all the diodes, the underside of them, and that's your first cap, that's your second cap. So, I'll show you in the schematic what I'm talking about. How do I do this again? No? Hang on. I'm trying to figure out my broadcasting software here. Bear with me. Oh my god. Where is it? Order. Move up. There we go. So you can all see that. Right, so here's the that's the power supply there. You've got your high voltage supply up the top. You've got your AC heaters there. You can see V7, V6 and V5, so that's a phase inverter. That's the two output valves. That one's run in parallel to maintain the 6.3 volt requirement. And there's your balancing, heater balancing resistors, so that's good. They've balanced it as well, and that goes to ground, 100 ohms, 1 watt. It's artificial center tap, another name for it. It's actually kind of better than a center tap because it balances them better. And there's the heater supply in question. Look at all those caps, man. That would be well, okay, so that resistor there is probably to damp the current pulses from all of these caps to the tranny so it doesn't overheat the tranny too much and put too much load on it. There's that little snubber cap, 10 nanofarad, 1000 volt. I think I've got some of them. There's your 4 of 1N4003s that I'm going to replace with a chassis mounted bridge rectifier. Is that coming through alright? Everyone see everything? Yeah, sweet. There's your 2 caps that are blown up, and then they're mounted across the board near each valve. They appear to be okay because they're in cooler area. And then down here's your bipolar supply for all the low voltage stuff, plus minus 15, and then there's your bias supply. So that's the power supply. Oh, don't forget the most important part, the glowy backlight PC LED. So that gets plus minus 15 volts, and that's mounted on the front panel so everyone can see that you own a Peavey. Yeah, no comment. So what we're gonna do is remove all these, remove those 2, and then clean the board, and then start rebuilding the supply with some higher rated components. So let's do that. Alright, we're back. So let's dig through some shmoo, eh? Let's wondering if I desolder them first. Yeah, probably desolder it first. Get you a bit of a wider view there. Fire up the heat go. I've got a paste there. I've still got to get it out and get it angry, eh? Excuse me, I'm getting over the man flu. Luckily, it's not coronavirus. Oh, not that I know of, anyway. I went to a couple of gigs last week. Went to go see Tool. Went to go see Corrosion of Conformity, which was awesome. But being in mosh pits in your mid-30s was a bit interesting. Things have changed, man. Right, she's probably not warm enough yet. What happens is it melts the solder when it's warm, but it ends up clogged in the shafty shaft. So I'll let it warm up a bit more, and sit here and think about what I've taken on. Nah, it's not the end of the world, shit. Probably should have quoted more though. Put some fresh solder on there because the old stuff's had the flux cleaned off. That's one thing the guy did do, cleaned off his flux. That's pretty rare. Normally repair guys leave it to bake. I saw a photo in one of the tube amp repair groups where it looks like previous repair tech used like plumber's flux. So this board's got a big hole in it where there's no traces left because it's like acid. Yeah. Good coffee. That's quadruple shot right there, espresso. Oh yeah. Alright, we'll see how she do. Fucking glue's blocking the gun. Might clean it off with a bit of solvent. Awesome. I didn't think about that. Oh, I think it's just cold still. Little drill. This thing does get blocked a bit, eh? It's the lead-free model, which apparently has a higher wattage than the standard one, so I'm told. Here we go. It just wasn't quite warm enough yet. That's what happens. It does smell like burning plastic though, that's that glue. I've had a few of these 6505s the last month, three or four of them. Usually the heads. They all sort of come in with the same shit. It's better. So our traces are pretty much gone. But we'll just hardwire some stuff. I could do the old Hot Rod Deluxe trick and chuck a couple of turrets in there to receive the hard wiring. Once I've cleaned it up, I'll have a bit of a think about it. Yeah, glue's blocking the gun again. So let's heat this shit up and see if we can get these parts out. So how are we all? How's your Sunday or Saturday if you're a Seppo? I personally can't think of anything better to do on a Sunday than work on amps. Can you? Yeah, Lyle's right. We'll get pliers. Still a bit of solder holding on there, I think. Oh, this is fun. Got one. Ugh. Well, the glue certainly works. Anti-vibration. Ugh, it's sticking to my fingers, man. At least it stops being sticky when it cools down. Not like gaff tape residue. Ugh. I'll have a closer look at the solder joints and those diodes because it feels like they're still holding on by solder. Yeah, that one's let go. Hope that desoldering pump's not deafening you too much. Here they come. I'm tempted to replace those bipolar supply caps anyway, just because they're covered in shmoo and I want to clean the whole area up. Oh, that is gross, dude. It's like fucking alien snot. I'll get all the good jobs. Fudgy. How am I gonna do this? I need to get off the majority of it, then I need to use some alcohol or something. I hope this shit dissolves in alcohol. I don't really want to go putting thinners on the board. Man, look at that board damage. That's cooked. Can't believe old mate just thought he could just chuck in some new diodes and go for gold. Wishful thinking, but fuck, he got paid and it's probably been alright a couple of years after. But don't really want to say the name, but it's a pretty big place, so I kind of do want to say it. That's that glue I'm scraping off. The board underneath that glue's okay. It's where the diodes have been underrated, that they've just fried the board, man. Like, I'm digging out fiberglass there. It's the old Peavey trick, man. Let's use a 1 amp diode and try and get it to supply like 2 amps. Because it's just a guide, right? It's like an advisory speed limit going around a corner. Speed limit's 80, it says do 40 around the corner, but you know, it's just advisory. I could do 80 around that corner. And look at that. That's dug right. I reckon I could dig all the way through that board just with this little scrapey scrape. It's just whatever resin they use in the fiberglass is just broken down, carbonized, and probably conducting a bit too, which makes the board itself a resistor that dissipates heat, which is not ideal, to say the least. So I might remove that resistor too. I just want to get everything clean in this area, just because I hate looking at the gooey shit and it makes the repair look terrible. Even that fuse has got a bit of crap on it. So, what do you reckon I should do? Just dip the whole thing in thinners? It's tempting. It was a gay and lesbian Mardi Gras last night in Sydney. I reckon there'd be some fucking hungover people this morning. Kinda wanted to go. It's a wicked party. No one knows how to party like queer people. Alright, so we'll take out those little filter caps. Well, you know, bipolar supply ones. Bit more heat. Maybe not as much heat this time because that was pretty messy. Ah, gotcha. There's a bit of that brown glue under there too, so it's a good idea to remove them. I'll remove that resistor, but temporarily I'll probably put the same one back in because there's nothing wrong with it. And I don't have a 0.68, so we'll reuse that one. Dried up glue shmoo everywhere. Fuck, where was it? Oh, there. Still holding on. I'll just heat up one of the legs and remove them one by one. I did get the right leads, didn't I? Yeah. A bit of solder on there. I think that resistor's glued down too. It's pretty firm still, and those leads are loose. Fuck. What the hell? It's not just glued down from the... Yeah, it's just... Because it's hot, I think, yeah, what's happened is... It's melted the glue that's been touching it, and because it gets hot during operation, the glue has gone like thinner, less viscous, and worked its way under via capillary action under the resistor and glued itself in situ. Oh man, do I remove these regs as well just to get clear access? Yeah, I think I do. 7, 9, 15, 7, 8, 15. Alright, let's remove them too. And their little caps. I'll just remove everything in the area just to clean it up. Looks like the video bandwidth is okay this morning. I don't know, tell me from your end. But yeah, probably say that and then it drops frames. But I think the internet bandwidth is pretty good here at the moment because everyone's asleep. No one's using Netflix yet, so that's good. Need the smaller tip on first. I get that quite a lot. So put on the, what is it, one mil tip. What's that in inches? Excuse me. Shut up, cockies. Bloody hell. They're noisy this morning. Where's my 1 mil drill? Still holding on by a bit. Oh, more than a bit. One. Two. Alright, we've got pretty clear access now. So let's heat that up again. Let's get off the big chunks and then see if we can smash it with a bit of solvent of some description, something pretty gentle, like isopropyl alcohol. Give it a hit. Wherever it is, there it is. Brush. Yeah, not really touching it. Sort of working, but sort of kind of, but not really. Use some of the good stuff. Paint thinner, polyurethane thinner. I won't flood this on, I'll just touch a bit of it on the rag because it'll dissolve it for sure. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Hopefully you don't take off the silk screening in the process. Not that we worry about silk screening, that's just like cheating, yeah? Yummy. A lot of this job isn't fault finding, it's just like janitorial work, cleaning up shit caused by other people. There's a lot of hacks out there, eh? Oh, I know, because I'm one of them. Takes one to know one. So who's watching still? Who's got absolutely nothing better to do than watch this? How's it sounding? I've got that Blue Yeti again. Large diaphragm condenser mic plugged in via USB for a bit more clarity. I think I will mount turrets on here for the output of the bridge rectifier. Seeing how bad that board is in that area, I don't really want to try and resolder to that at all. pretty bad. Oh, geez, this is fun. Yeah, so I haven't done any videos for ages because I go through periods of thinking that no one wants to watch this shit. And it's probably true. A lot of the jobs are so open-ended. They come in and they got one problem, then you find another problem, and I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't make for very good viewing. Then we had the bushfire shit, which I'm sure even you international guys heard about. So my property here, my house here backs onto a pretty large swath of bushland. So we were getting ready to get rid of everything because, as it turned out, that patch out the back of my place is really the only thing left in the Blue Mountains that didn't burn. So we thought it was only a matter of time till it lit up as well. Lightning strikes and whatnot. So we had everything ready to go, but I was still trying to work out of here in this, 45-degree heat. It wasn't real fun. And then it really kicked off down south where my parents are, and I went down there to help out. We could only fly in because all the roads were shut, and it was ill-advised. Everyone was evacuating the place, and here's me and my brother flying in on a little prop plane to their little shed, which they call an airport at Maria, just to help mum and dad out, prepare if they had to get out. Or stay and defend. In the end, it went up to like the street behind them and stopped, because that was the main road, and they managed to break it there, so they were okay. I had no power for about a week. Driving along, and the literally power lines are lying on the ground. Everything just burnt. So when we drove back, they were already putting the new poles up. Happened very quick. And then we got a massive cool change came through, and a shitload of rain for about a week, and everything calmed down. We're supposed to get a lot of rain this week too, but it's not raining out west where it's needed, where the farmland is. It's only raining on the coast, so it doesn't help us much in the drought situation. Because Sydney gets a bit of rain, and that's where the majority of the population is. Everyone thinks, oh, problem solved, drought's over. 90% of New South Wales is still in severe drought. And people forget that. Of course, to you Americans, Australia doesn't exist, and we're all paid actors from NASA, so it doesn't matter anyway, does it? Fucking. Alright, that thinner's worked alright. So what I'm going to do is remove the spade connector, because the AC is going straight to the bridge rectifier, which is going to be chassis mounted. Well, I guess I can just leave it on, eh? Yeah, I might use them as the turrets. Why do I need to install turrets when there's perfectly good spade connectors there? I'll just hardwire from them to the caps. Let's do that. Man, all the birds are going off. Having a party out there. I don't know if you can hear that on the mic. excuse me. Now we've got kookaburras. Okay. Well, if we come from the transformer straight to, actually, I've got some bridge rectifiers there with spade connectors already on them, so we can mount. We don't have to modify the output of the transformer. We can mount it directly to the bridge rectifier on the chassis, and then if I make some cables. No, I might just hard solder to that, bugger it. Sorry, I'm just thinking aloud here. Put my big chip back on. Still a bit blocked. Got a feeling that glue's working its way in there and then just burning in the tip, becoming a solid mass. Yeah, pretty much. Better. I'll remove the AC heater ones as well to hardwire them. Pop, dropped out. It's these two up here, the ones where I could not remove the thing to save my life. Come on, heat up. Might go up a notch, up to 3. Through plating's good, but it's a bit of a bitch for unsoldering, especially on the heavy traces, because it sinks the heat pretty easily. Which is a testament to its current carrying capability. Come on, out you come. Sweet as. I know it doesn't sound very good clearing my throat all the time. Sorry about that. I am getting over the man flu. Alright, so we'll just inspect the board as well. See if we can find any other weird shit, cracked solder joints and whatnot. Interesting. Some like soldered bridge across there. I don't know if that's for different types of caps, and they didn't know which type they were going to be installing with. But let's have a look. The solder joint looks a bit sketch anyway. Yeah. So they've just had, you see this quite often, there's often two holes for a capacitor, well, 3 holes for a 2-terminal capacitor, and that's because they're not sure of their supply chain, and there's 2 lead spacing options available, so they're not sure which one they're going to end up with this week. So they've mitigated that risk by just drilling holes for both of them. So it doesn't matter which cap they end up with, they can install them, which is pretty smart, I guess. That's all good. The valve socket connections look okay. The ones that aren't covered in glue anyway. I don't really, you saw how difficult removing the glue was in that other area. I really don't want to have to remove it here as well. Be a nightmare. But yeah, that's that mod. I don't think it's factory, eh? They've removed one end of R101 and one end of C11. So let's have a look at this schematic. So, what was it? 101. So we're somewhere around V4. Is that right? Yeah, V4. R22. No, that's different. I'm looking at the wrong area or the wrong schematic, because that is not corresponding. The plate resistors for V4 are R42 and R41. Oh no, hang on. V3 and V4. What? Oh, okay, the other plate resistors over there. Right, so R22 and R42, R22, R42, yep, that's right. So C11, is that one there, 22 nano. And R101 is supposed to be 1 meg, but this one is not. So, I guess that's a mod, I don't know. So they would, if they used the circuit board, they would have been attached anyway. So why did they do that? That's super weird. So here, C11 is attached to R101 above the board and encased in glue. So that's not actually going through the board, that's just sitting on top of the board, twisted around and soldered. If they soldered R101 to its proper hole and C11 to its proper hole, they would have been connected anyway. I hate dealing with modded shit. I'll just leave that, fuck it. Changed the value there, but must be some well-known mod of some description, I don't know. Anyway. I'll clean up these holes a bit. Remove that snubber cap. Oh, come on. There it goes. Trying to step up to the pace. Soldering station. It goes for jerks. It's fucking noisy too, like that's pretty loud. Alright, so I'll grab a couple of new caps. The ones that were in there were 4700 microfarad at 16 volt. And the ones on the schematic are 4700 16 volt. I bet I don't have any in stock, but let's have a look. Oh, boom. Nichicon. 4700. 16 volt. Parts draws yield yet more treasure. So what I'll do is leave one of the leads longer. Well, on the first cap, I guess. Bit of solder still in the hole. Fuck me. What the fuck? Start counting the amount of times I unblock this thing on stream, eh? What is it? What are we up to? Like 5? Awesome. I think that air filter's gone. I think the inline filter's gone. That's not good. I don't have another one of them. Yeah, it's looking pretty funky. Actually, that looks like the same filter as the one in the... Yeah, it's the same one. So that one mounts to the actual... Yeah, look at all the glue. It's like evaporated and ended up stuck to the filter. That's in the line attached to the front of the machine. It's supposed to save shit ending up in the vacuum pump. But all that glue is like evaporated and glued itself to the filter. Again, should have charged more. I'll get another filter and chuck it in. Just these little ceramic paper filters. Pop one of them in. See how she do? Yeah, that's sucking like a hot damn. Yeah, you can hear it just even sounds different. Poor Heiko, you just want to be maintained properly, don't you? Ugh. Can't believe it found its way through that filter. Probably in gaseous form because it was still so hot. And condensed in the lines, which probably means I need new lines now. Yay. Ah, that's better. Oh, you can hear it. Coffee's getting cold, man. I'm gonna stop talking shit. Oh, you can even hear it. Funny when things get bad so gradually you don't notice them. Boiling frog syndrome. I don't know if that's a myth or not. Still a bit of crap in those holes. Nice clean holes. Clean off the flux on that side again. Skills, me. Pop in the new caps. Don't really want to get the polarity asked about, so we'll check that. Yeah. Ah, they're big chunky buggers. Look at the difference in size. Same rating. They're about a third bigger. Sometimes means they're shit quality when they're bigger for the same rating, but these are Nichicon. I'm pretty happy with Nichicon. Until they discontinue their axials, then I'll be not so happy with Nichicon. He's fattened up the traces there. I don't think that's really the problem. The problem is the heat generating components mounted too close to the board as usual. Traces were carrying the current. The diodes just weren't. Right, so I'm going to cut all those traces off. So that's your ground. That's your positive. So that's... I can wire to that pad. Ignore everything else. These, the traces are lifted like hell. So I might just hardwire it to... I might drill a hole there and hardwire it, wrap it around that cap lead. Use it like a turret. And then the other connection there. Now these connections, that's pretty handy that it's got the 4 connections for the the 2 connections for the 2 legs of the spade connector, because I can hardwire the transformer to that one, then hardwire the bridge to that one, or maybe just forget about that. I'll just have a look at my bridges, see if I've got one that I can just plug straight in. How do we feel about overkills? The size of that bad boy. That is a KBPC 2510. So 10, normally the number corresponds to the amp rating on these things. So let's look up the data sheet. KBPC 2510. There it is. Trying to find data sheet would be good. Not getting a clear 25 amps. Fuck. I think that's an overkill. Let's tone it back a bit, eh? 25 amp bridge? Yeah, I don't think so. I just realised that I've got to scroll down to read the new comments. Sorry, guys. It is tempting to just use that anyway because it's easy to connect. Oh, what's a bit of solder, eh? Yeah, bugger it. Let's use the comically large one. Got a margin of error of about 23 amps. She ain't gonna overheat. We know that. It's probably a fucking $10 bridge. Oh, let's use it. So I'll solder to that on the chassis. Bring it back to there and there. I'll just drill a quick hole. I might just actually... yeah, the board's too burnt to use. I don't want to reuse that. I want to try and bypass this whole area, because it could be a bit conductive. It's only low voltage, but just don't want to risk there being complications. Look at the board under that. It's black, man. Yeah, I'm pretty happy not to use that area. I might do the same with that, because that's probably burnt under that too. I'll just lay a fair bit of solder on there and should be right. Is that how you fix stuff, Cox? You use a grinder? Drill. Let's drill some things. How do you feel about it, just hardwiring it to there? I feel pretty good about that. I don't feel like drilling it. Right. It's a nice heavy duty wire. This alpha wire, Carol wire, 20 AWG. It's got a thick insulation, PVC. It's a bit shit, but I bought heaps of it, so I've got to use it up. Been using alpha wire since, seems to be a bit nicer. It doesn't tin real well either. It takes a fair bit of heat, and sometimes there's still little spots that don't like tinning. It's like there's a bit of contamination in it or something, and the solder doesn't like it. See, it just it's not a nice even coat, and it's really hard to get it to do that. In fact, you get it so hot trying to that you start to melt the insulation, and it's just annoying. So I don't bother. I'll just buy something else next time. Got glue all over my friggin' pliers. Don't want to heat up that cap too much. You've got to remember there's a capacitor attached to the other side of that wire. They don't like heat too much. Get in and out pretty quick. I found that having a reasonably hot iron, you spend less time there, so it actually ends up being cooler to the components. If you try and turn your iron down, it kind of has the opposite effect. You sit there for ages and you end up heating the component up more. So she looks pretty messy from down here, but it'll work for a long time. It'll work a long time. It'll look better once we clean up the flux. I might stick a cable tie or something on there. How about we just use some hot glue to stick that down? Yeah, nah. Excuse me. So that looks a bit nicer, doesn't it? A bit less hacky. Still a bit of flux there. I'll just bridge that connection there, bridge that hole, I mean, because that is the damaged area of the trace. Just beef it up a bit. Now we'll remove that snubber cap because it's not doing anything. Could leave it there, but it feels weird leaving something there that's not doing anything. Little bugger. No markings. Oh no, 103, 1 kb. I've got some of them. Put that directly over the bridge. So I think it's time to bloody drill his chassis. The fun part. Just clean up the bottom side of that. I'll solder that one from the top once it's back in situ because it's connected to the transformer. I'll hardwire it. Alright, so that's our inputs from the bridge rack. So I've left them well oversized. Everything else looks okay. I did have a quick look off stream. There's a bit of residue from your typical weekend warrior using WD-40 on the valve sockets, which is not advised. WD-40 is not a contact cleaner. It leaves greasy shit that attaches itself to every particle of dirt that passes by. So don't use the shit. For fuck's sake, don't use it on pots, don't use it on anything on an amp. WD-40 is for blokes trying to undo the bolt on their mower, not amps and guitars. So around here you've got all of that, kind of get jazz going on. They've sprayed it in the hole. Hope for the best. It's probably done nothing. You've got to actually get in there with a toothpick and clean those contacts. We'll fire up the air compressor, I think, and clean this thing off. What is it? It's 8:30. Shit. It's been like an hour and a half. The job's already going overtime. Everything's slow when you do a video though. Time for breakfast. Got to get ready for church soon. Yeah, right. Not. There's another mod. Someone's cut a trace there. There's another one on the other side. They cut a trace. Not sure what's going on there. Could be an early rev for board where that got carried out the factory. What are we on? Got a revision. No. Maybe there's a bit. Oh, rev. Oh, that's reverb. They've got a B in the number, so maybe it was a rev B. What the fuck? It's told me my video has been partially muted because it may contain music that belongs to Warner Music Group. It's so fucking quiet. How did it pick that up? Fucking. They spend so much money on their algorithms to detect fucking piracy. I bet you make your platform work properly. Get that muting your video so people don't hear music that's owned by someone else in the background. Like you're gonna go looking actively for people's video streams to steal music from in the background of it. Fuck you, Facebook. Put that resistor back in. Alright, we're golden. God, where was I? Oh, I'll put the regs back in. 79.15, the ground goes to the center, the output goes to the center. 79.15 as an output on the center pin. Just double check that. U1 78.15. Yeah, that's correct. Some new 1000 mic caps, 35 volt. Ooh, running low on them. Oh no, a few down there. Thousand mic, 35 volt. Nishikon. Right, the rags and the caps are installed. When I say rags, I mean linear regulator. It's an integrated circuit. There we go. Power supply reconstructed. Now, I'll put a little squeeze of silicon down between the tall caps. Not much, just a little bit. Stop them from vibrating. Silicon's what should have been used in the first place. Yeah, I think we can put that back in and then carry on with drilling the chassis. I might do that off stream because drilling a chassis, I'm going to be doing it outside. Don't really want to get metal shavings everywhere and it's just fiddly. So anyway, thanks for watching for a bit and I'll catch yous around.